Welcome to Break Bias. I'm your host, Brad Kramer. It's the 66th episode, and I'm here in the middle of the summer break. I hope some of you are enjoying your summer, although I know others will be counting the days to Zandvoort. That will be when F1 resumes in a couple weeks, so hopefully I can bridge that F1 gap in your lives right now. But before we get to this episode, first a quick reminder, check out the link tree in the description. It has links to pages like all the platforms you can find this podcast, as well as my YouTube channel, BreakBias Twitter, and TikTok. It has my email address if you'd like to contact me for anything, and my personal Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Now let's get into the summer break recap with some special guests. And now, returning to the podcast is Darnell from King of the Take, and this time, Kyle from King of the Take as well decided to join. First of all, guys, how are you enjoying your summer?
Summer's been great. Not as good as Kyle's, who's been on vacation. But
I've been living the dream. But Brad, thanks for having us, man. I'm excited to be on here and just like chop it up. Summer's been awesome, man. Yeah, like I said, like Darnell said, I've been on vacation, hit up Scotland, hit up Portugal, and living my best life. How's your summer, bud?
You buried the lead. You went to St. Andrews.
It's an F1 podcast, not a golf podcast, bud.
Fair enough.
Hey, still appreciate it though, man. Well, no, my summer's been good. Been working a lot. I just had my first little week break, not really a summer break like you guys had on your podcast. How long did you take off?
Had to be 4 weeks, right, D?
I think we had a 3 or 4 episode gap.
Damn. So, and how was that?
It was kind of nice.
It
was kind of nice. Just like F1 now, we are kind of in the middle of the silly season, only baseball going on, and everyone had a little something going on. So we said, hey, it's probably best just to step away and regather ourselves and come back with fresh, brand new ideas. And now we're starting to cook season 2.
Right
on.
So
Would have just been, I guess, F1 and baseball. And we could have made it work, but it was nice to have a gap.
Yeah, I guess because you're back in time for the Women's World Cup, right? You wouldn't have missed any of that.
We missed the start, but like we would have been like second week of that.
Yeah,
like
right on
end of the group stage.
Well, like you said, batteries are recharged, ready to cook. I left a spot open at the beginning of the show for any news over the summer break, but I don't really think anything much has happened. It's been kind of quiet.
It's been really quiet.
Weirdly
quiet.
Is it not too quiet?
Something's
you know what I
ready
mean?
to blow,
like exactly. Like is like Andretti coming soon, or like there's something has to like happen, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. All I've seen is like just drivers just enjoying their lives right now, and that's pretty much it. I think like just this morning, I don't know if you guys saw this, but kind of big news in motorsport is Alex Palou decided that he wasn't going to go to McLaren next year in IndyCar. People are saying it potentially could mean that he's eyeing an F1 seat next year. That would be interesting. I don't know. See, that's the thing. It's like this stuff is like brand new this morning. So, I mean, I guess we're also recording on a Saturday morning. This will probably come out on a Monday. So we're a few days ahead. So that's just for the listeners. But anyway, yeah, that Alex Palou news like just dropped. And I mean, it's not huge news, but I did see that this morning, which is kind of interesting if that is what he's eyeing up. But
I didn't have him pegged as the next one to make the step. Like it should be Teo Porcher, or it should be Adam Lawson, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I hear you. He is having an incredible year in IndyCar, and he actually would have the super license unlike Herta last year.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's running away with the championship in IndyCar this year, where I'm not sure if Herta ever won one, and if he did, it was like a few years ago. Anyway.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah. So anyway, since there's no news, we'll go straight into the trash takes that Darnell and I made at the beginning of preseason. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag.
It is a mixed bag. The first thing that I wrote, though, because I'll go through it a little bit more in order in a sec, but the first thing that I wrote that I think was probably the most interesting debate that we had was Sainz versus Perez. We went hard at each other because you're a big Checo guy, and I was defending Carlos Sainz. And Kyle, what do you think? I feel like we have to just hit this one right at the top. Who's having a better season, Carlos Sainz or Checo Perez?
Carlos.
For sure?
And it's not even close. It's not even close. Perez is literally strapped into a rocket ship. and he's
Yeah.
barely second.
Yeah, I had Carlos Sainz pegged to regress with Fred Vasseur coming in and that he'd make it Charles's team. But Carlos has basically made up his own strategy every single race weekend, and it's worked for him. I don't know if I would say he's had a better season than Checo Perez. I think
I would say they're both
equal.
mid.
They're both mid, just in decent cars.
Okay, well, I think that's still a W in my column already. I'm taking it.
Oh, 1,000%, Brad. This is all you. And you and I were aligned at preseason that Carlos was going to have a decent year, but that
Right.
Ferrari's just not good.
Yeah, I forgot that you were all over Carlos too. Yeah, there
And
you
I'm
go.
a Charles guy. He's my favorite driver too.
We have a bet.
Tough.
You had bet that Carlos was going to beat Charles at the end of the season, which he still can. They're only
That is correct. They're like 7 points away. It's one wall.
Possible.
I think if Ferrari makes a step, they're a little bit more competitive. Then I always think the more competitive they are, the more Charles will be ahead of Carlos. Where if they're struggling, then that's where I feel like Carlos can just kind of consistently get those mid points that he just has
That's
gotten
a really
pretty
good
much
call
all
out.
year.
That's
He
a really
basically-
good call out.
I don't think he has a podium, but he just gets like P5 like race after race.
Does Charles has one podium? Does he have any
I
podiums?
think he has two.
Oh, he has two. You're right.
Belgium and Baku.
Boys. He has 3,
Including sprints or just
Grand Prix. He's got 3 podiums, 3 DNFs.
okay.
What's the podium? I said Baku and Belgium. What's the podium that I'm forgetting?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but
That's okay.
like let's just say
We'll take your word for it.
there's a segment coming up that I'll be talking about it.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Right
Red
on,
Bull
right
ring.
on.
Red Bull ring.
All right. So I wrote down some of Darnell and I's takes, and I have to admit, going through our old pod, Darnell had a lot more hot takes than I did. So I guess I gotta amp that part up. But
Way to bring that king of the take here, buddy. I love that
yeah,
for us.
yeah. There you go. I guess living up to the name. But Alex Albon will score a top 6 finish. Was one of them. Pretty close. He has a P7.
Yep.
So
Still plenty of time. Still plenty of time for that Williams.
Yeah, I know, and I think even though they don't technically have a top 6 yet, Alex has been phenomenal. I feel like that's a W.
Yes.
Alonso, multiple podiums, absolutely nailed that one.
Nailed it. Now he might not get another one for the rest of the season, but I got it in the first half.
Yeah. You also said the Haas drivers will be the closest matchup. What do you think about that?
Oh, I don't like this one, dude.
I don't know. I think Gasly and Ocon are probably closer. The Haas drivers, like Hulkenberg's a better qualifier. They're both awful in the race. So, but the car sucks. I don't even know if you can really count it. To be perfectly honest,
like, don't they have like 11 points this year?
Yep.
Combined.
Yes.
Like, what are we doing here? Like, Williams are going to be close too because they both have 0. Like, is that what we're actually going to talk about next?
Well, Albon's got points.
Okay, sorry.
About?
Let me back this up.
Don't you dare loop
Alfa
in
Romeo is going to be close
Sargent.
because they're both going to have 1 point. Is that better?
Well, K-Mag has actually scored more points in Grand Prix, or he's scored in more Grand Prix than Hulkenberg has. Hulkenberg just has the one huge point scoring finish in Australia and then 3 points in a sprint. So even though I would say Hulkenberg's definitely had the measure of K-Mag, K-Mag has actually scored in more Grand Prix than Hulkenberg has, which is kind of interesting. But
it is an interesting take.
The team's a mess. The team is an absolute mess.
Yeah, the race pace is just shocking. I can't believe how bad it is compared to their qualifying pace.
They're horrendous on tires.
Yeah, it's similar kind of to what they were in 2019. It was like they were qualifying consistently kind of best of the rest and then just falling back in the race. It's kind of very reminiscent of that. So another one of your takes, Lando will destroy Oscar.
Yeah.
And you're an Oscar guy now, D. Oh my God.
I love Lando though. So he's not destroying Oscar. I think I also said that Lando was going to outdrive the car, which I think is still true. But Oscar's kept pace. He's been really strong.
No, your Oscar almighty is out the window now.
Who could have foreseen? I don't know if anyone has this in there in the later segment. Who could have foreseen Oscar being this good? Better than Daniel, yes, but he's been impressive.
Well, he was being compared to Russell and Leclerc. He is the only his junior career is the same as theirs in terms of accolades.
Fair, but Lando, when you've seen the last few seasons, he's world class. I wouldn't have predicted us going to be that close. He's been really strong.
D, I'll jump in front of this, and like I wasn't on the show to do my preseason predictions, but I actually had Oscar at 18 because I had no faith in that McLaren junk box, and they are absolute fire right now.
Well, to be fair to Darnell, he did say it's not going to be the gap between Lando and Daniel for Lando and Oscar. He said it's going to be closer. And we also thought the McLaren was going to underperform. And also, when the McLaren was kind of ass, Lando was outperforming Oscar by quite a bit. It's now just that this has gone, the car's gotten very competitive, that Oscar is all of a sudden kind of just shown that like he arguably is a future world champion. To be doing this in a rookie season is pretty incredible. So it's just like these past few races, really. Otherwise, we could have said this was a W for Darnell. So I don't think it's complete L. I got you, buddy.
Thank you.
We can just hand out the Rookie of the Year trophy now, right?
Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
mean,
It's just him and Logan, isn't it?
I mean, DeVries is done, so he can't win it.
Oh, I guess, yeah. I forgot about him.
Many people do, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, and then the last two here, Darnell had that AlphaTauri was going to be P10. That's looking good. And then I only wrote down one because I was pretty confident in this one, is that Ocon will beat Gasly. So that was one of mine. Right now, that's the case, but really, they're super close. Ocon just has the podium in Monaco that's kind of making the big difference. So I wouldn't say that's really a huge W for me. So anyway, we spent a lot of time on overachievers and underachievers. So I wanted to get to these. Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris for Darnell.
Mm-hmm.
How does that sound?
I feel like it's pretty good. I mean, I know coming out of preseason testing, the Aston looked good, and they kept that form up for the first 8 races or so. They've fallen off since then, but Fernando Alonso was an absolute rocket out there, mixing it up with the Red Bulls, beating the Mercedes. Lance Stroll, I am not a Lance Stroll fan. We're all Canadians here. I am not his biggest fan. I think he's average to below average. But Fernando Alonso's really shown that
That's
if you
actually
give him a
kind of
decent
you.
car. What's that, sorry?
That's kind of you.
He's not terrible. I mean, he's not.
Dude,
He's not. Though. He's not Logan Sargent. He's not Nick DeVries. You know, he's not that bad. But Fernando has shown that you give him a good car, he's still competitive at 42 years old. So I'm happy with that.
And we both had Lando. I just kind of gave it to you because we were hyping Lando up in the preseason pretty hard. We were kind of, I think I called us Lando lovers or something like that. So
I should have put my McLaren shirt on. I have a McLaren t-shirt. I should have put it on.
So yeah, Lando's a W. I still think he had a bit of a rough start to the season. I like something in Saudi Arabia. He like crashed in qualifying or like hit the inside of a wall.
He did. Yes,
he had a bit of a scrappy start to the season, but now that the car's competitive, like I said with Oscar, they're both just flying. They have an absolutely phenomenal driver lineup. So 2 W's for Darnell there for sure. So then my overachievers, I had Nico Hülkenberg. I was pumping his tires pretty hard at the beginning of the season, and then my other one was Carlos Sainz.
Well, I'm gonna give Brad a half point for Nico. He's a rocket in qualifying.
And it's an overachiever, not like a star of the grid. This guy just returned after a few years out. He is absolutely overachieved. Come on.
If the car had
he's like 100 years old. Isn't he like 29 or 30 or something like that?
That's 100? What's Lewis?
F1?
What's
F1,
Lewis, man?
yeah.
Grandfather?
Lewis is Yoda, man. Like he just doesn't age. Like he's like, yeah, like whenever you want to stop driving, let us know.
I think Hülkenberg's like 35.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he was like 34.
You just said 29.
Well, I said like my first rip was 34, and then I was like 29. So like 29.
Quite a few drivers over 29.
29, 35.
Yeah, something like that. You know me. But no, like I don't like him. I don't think he's a good driver.
I think he's fine. I think the car's just trash.
It
can't keep it
Yeah,
and they have terrible strategies.
Nico or Lance Stroll?
Nico, 100%.
Nico every day of the week.
Okay,
Nico.
yeah.
Lance doesn't have any racecraft. He's not a particularly good qualifier. At least Nico could qualify.
Okay, so let's unpack this. 20th, Nick DeVries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
19th, Lance Stroll.
No,
18, Nico.
I would put Logan still 19th at the moment.
I agree with that.
See, I don't
Potential,
even rank him.
I have Logan over Lance, obviously, but right now, yeah, Logan's not good.
I would Hulkenberg's better than K-Mag too.
Agree with that.
Like he's proving it this season. I think that's got to be right there. But I don't know. I think you're sleeping on Nico, Kyle. I don't know.
Okay, maybe I need like a woke test here.
Well, right. I don't want to take us off topic, but Brad, what I think neither of those drivers have contracts next year, is Nico or K-Mag. Do you think either of them come back?
I think they would be silly to not bring Nico back. And I would be surprised if they didn't bring K-Mag back just because of like the history. And I think they still love him at that team, but it has been a tough season for K-Mag. It just, they have to have someone who is worth bringing in. And I don't think Haas wants to bring in rookies anymore after that horrible experiment that they had with Schumacher and Mazepin. So honestly,
long term, like, what can they do? They can't keep bringing back old drivers. Like,
I think they absolutely can.
Really?
I think if there was a shock move at Red Bull, like they would probably try to
say
aggressively
Checo
recruit
Perez.
Yeah, I had the same
someone
thought.
like that. If Alpha got rid of Bottas, I think they would probably recruit someone like him. I feel like that's probably what they're going to do unless they get an absolute star of a rookie, kind of like Leclerc was in 2018, or possibly Ollie Behrman. He is killing it in F2. I feel like he has to be like a for sure prospect if they were ever to bring a rookie in again, at least in the recent future.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Is this a kid show, Brad? No swearing?
I don't know. I've never actually like established whether or not I want to swear, because I have, but I like do it very like few and far between.
Okay.
So I don't know.
We hit the explicit button when we upload our podcast. So.
Well, we can shoot the shit. I mean, come on. I can put explicit on for one episode. I don't know.
I'll tone it back. I'll tone it back.
It's Saturday morning. It's 9:21. We're still drinking coffee out here.
That's fair. That's fair. So underachievers, Darnell and I came to the show and we're both like, AlphaTauri driver lineup absolutely are going to underachieve. I think we took L's here. I mean, Yuki Tsunoda has had an absolutely overachieving first half. So I think we both have to eat our words there. But then you had Carlos Sainz.
Some say overachieving, but
Yuki
some
Tsunoda?
say just right there. Yuki is my guy. He deserves Perez's seat.
He is overachieved.
No. Okay,
Brad, get him.
The Red Bull ticket.
He's not a Red Bull driver. Get him.
No, he's not ready for Red Bull, but he has absolutely overachieved expectations. So we definitely lost there. I had Zhou Guanyu. I don't know. Has he really underachieved? I don't think he's underachieved.
I think he's just achieved. The car's not very good, and he's not. He's just, they're average.
Yeah.
Yeah, very mid.
And Carlos Sainz, I had overachieved. Darnell had underachieved, and I think we're both wrong because I think he is also just achieved. So there we go. That's pretty much all of our main takes from our podcast at the beginning of the season during preseason testing. How do you think we did overall, Kyle?
Honestly, not terrible, not bad at all. I'm like very torn in the middle of, because like I had a lot of your takes and a lot of Darnell's takes. But as a prediction episode, I think you guys actually knocked it out of the park, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of us really had like a horrible take besides, I mean, Darnell didn't just say Yuki Tsunoda will underachieve. He said he's trash. So that arguably might be the worst. I said
this would be his last season in F1.
And that is not the case. It literally goes Max, Yuki, and then the rest.
I don't know why you love him so much. Like, he's driving really well. I think his average finishing position, I heard this in another podcast, is 12.7, which is amazing for that car. But he's not the second best driver on the grid. Like, let's tone it down.
Man, you guys are sleeping on Yuki. He's my guy.
A broken Daniel Ricciardo came in and beat him in Hungary.
Well, I mean, Yuki had food poisoning the day before.
Okay, yeah. Right. Yeah. So now we'll go into my usual prize, demise, and surprise segment, except obviously it's a little bit different. It's not the prize, demise, and surprise for a race, which is basically a W, L, and a surprise of the weekend. We're doing it for the entire first half of the season. So why don't we start out with Darnell? Let's hear who your prize is for the first half of the F1 season. I mean, actually, before you get into that, I think we all have to agree that Red Bull probably is the prize for everyone. I didn't put down Red Bull because it's just so obvious. But
Darnell did. He doesn't have any hot takes.
So if we were doing 3, they would have been one of them. But if anyone who knows me, I always go off the board. That's just how I do my thing. My prize goes to the regs. it goes to the regulations. And for everyone that's saying that the season's been boring because Red Bull's winning, I agree with that fact. Red Bull has been running away with it. They're dominating. They're going to win both championships. But if you take Max out of it, we would have one of the most competitive seasons in a very, very long time, right? The regs are working. The cars can drive a lot closer. They are, we're seeing, I think we have here drivers from 4 different teams in the top 5. It is competitive for second. It is competitive for third. You have McLarens in there sometimes. You have Ferraris in there sometimes when they get their strategy right. Lewis is back. Like, Max has made this season seem like it's a complete failure, but if you take him out of it, we are seeing one of the most fun seasons since probably 2008, 2009, right? So for me, my prize goes to the regulations.
No, I think that's a fair one. I've seen quite a few people now like work out what the standings would look like if you just took Max Verstappen out and bumped everyone up one. And it is crazy. Like, if you look at all the storylines, I actually had a tweet about it from the British Grand Prix, what it would look like if Max Verstappen wasn't in that race. It was like Logan Sargent first points, Lando Norris first win, Oscar Piastri podium. Like, also that battle between Lando and Lewis would have been for the win.
Yes.
Like, all of it was just insanity. But Max Verstappen's there, which is kind of ruining the fun. But it's not his fault. At the end of the day, it's everyone else's fault for just not being as good as him and for dropping the ball compared to Red Bull.
We might have to unpack this.
Why?
The regulations? You don't agree?
No, just Brad's last comment with, like, everyone's not as good as him. Like, let's relax here. It's the car that's better.
Everyone's not as good as him, and that's
I was bringing in the heat today. Verstappen
I believe
different.
65% of his success is that car. If you put him on a Ferrari, he's never winning a race.
He wouldn't win a championship. He'd win a race.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
is a
fine
tough
with
one.
me. I've already proved my point.
That is a tough one. No, like, the car is absolutely dominant, obviously. But I think Checo, who we know is not a terrible driver, like, can we at least admit he's not a terrible driver? He is middle of the road.
What's not terrible?
He's mid.
He's middle of the road
in
at
our
least.
podcast. He's mid.
Yeah, so he's 10th?
I don't know, maybe in that range. But anyway,
8 through 11.
he's basically proved that it's only dominant in Max's hands, because how many races he went, what was it, 6 races in a row without getting a P2 in that ridiculously dominant car.
He went 5 races in a row without making Q3, wasn't it?
Yeah, and of course the Q3 stat, which was just ridiculous.
In that car,
too.
you should not overtake.
But he's
as
still
much
second
as he does.
in the championship. Let's not forget this.
I could be second in the championship with that car.
Fair enough.
Honestly, if you give Brad that car, since he's got some karting experience now, he's going to be second, no doubt.
Yeah, for sure. I was flying on that track in Mississauga. Anyway, well, how about we move on to Kyle's prize? Who do you got, man?
I got McLaren, and it's kind of recency bias, but just as a whole, looking at this team, and just knowing you have Lando and what Oscar turned out to be, like, you've seen the Alpine ripples, like, they fired everyone. And I think it's A, performance for them, but B, because they lost Oscar. But the future for this team is so bright. They were junk, and now they are a good car. So honestly, like, this is more of like a forecast, but McLaren has a bright future. And, like, from where I had them to where they are now, I think McLaren is kind of like the darling of the ball.
I can't disagree, because the step that they made in midseason it is incredible. I just think that if you remember back to, like, Australia and what we were saying about them after Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, I just can't really give them, like, a prize for the first half because of how bad and how, like, badly they missed their targets at the beginning of the season.
But
and
they fixed it so rapidly, right? Like,
yes, but at the same time, like, the jump that Aston Martin made from last year was even bigger, but they have fallen back a little bit, but still
a little bit.
They're still up there.
They're still third technically, but
Alonso was 5th in Belgium.
True. I think to Kyle's point, I'll back you up, Kyle. They
My guy.
seem like a cohesive group too. They get the strategies right. The team is in lockstep with one another. I agree with you, Brad. Like those first few races were pretty abysmal to watch.
Well, Lando
But
only got points in 3 of the first 8 races or something like that.
their trajectory now is solid, and like there's 10 races left. Will they catch Aston Martin? I don't know, because Aston, you have to imagine, is gonna they got to turn things around at least a little bit, but they're gonna be in the mix. They're gonna be in the mix for sure.
I think they catch him because they have 2 good drivers, where Aston has 1.
They are a one car team. That's a good point.
They're
Well,
a
you're
poor man's
dipping
Red Bull.
into one of the questions I had for second half predictions. So I mean, we can
okay.
get into it
I'll
right now.
pause.
We're already in the
I'll
middle of it, but no, McLaren is definitely a good one. Like I considered it. I just was like thinking of everything that we could, everyone that we could pick. I was just like, with how bad that start was, I don't know if I can really give it to them. So I opted for just a driver. I went Fernando Alonso. I think this first half that he's had, even with the car kind of dropping off in the second half of the first half, he has still been brilliant from day one until right now. He's 42. So he is just sensational. And I would say he's probably been the second best driver of the first half.
He
I just
started
didn't
with
want
6
to take.
podiums, right?
He had P3
Like 5
and
thirds and then a second or something like that.
He was a
yeah,
podium
yeah.
until Spain, no? If I'm not mistaken.
I think he missed one.
missed one?
Baku. He missed one in Baku.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
right.
So, but yeah, still like 3 podiums in the first 3, and then like another 3 after that. Like, yeah, and he's just dummying Lance Stroll. I know we don't think of him too highly, but what he's been doing to him is just what Fernando Alonso does to pretty much every teammate.
He's
Curiously,
the only
besides
one to
Esteban Ocon.
whitewash his teammate in, I think, right? In qualifying. He's the only one to whitewash teammate. He's 10-2 right now, but yeah, it's pretty impressive.
What do you
Alonso's a
mean?
huge
Because I think Albon has every single session over Sargent in qualifying anyway.
Good.
I think over
call
the
out,
course of a
Brad.
full season, he's the only
Oh,
one
okay.
to ever completely whitewash a teammate. When you say
Gotcha.
before, that's what he does. This is what he
Okay.
does.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm not sure who he would have done that to. Probably Van Dorn, I'm guessing. But yeah, no,
Probably,
you don't
yeah.
know.
No, I don't. I don't have the names.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is just this is what he does. He has done this to so many teammates in the past, and even when he's gotten great teammates like Button and Hamilton, he has been right up there with them, obviously, because the guy's world class. And I think I made a hot take on your podcast about just if the career decisions were a little bit different for Alonso, that he
Yeah, I
would
remember
arguably
this.
be the GOAT. So I got to
he
give him
made
his
the right
flowers.
decision. He deserves a prize just for choosing Aston over Alpine.
That's right. That's because how about I just go straight into mine, because it segues perfectly, because my demise is
Perfect.
Alpine. I hope I didn't steal yours, because I think that was obvious.
Oh,
They
it's a
are a
good
complete
choice.
dumpster fire. Like Kyle mentioned, they fired everyone. They missed out on Alonso and Piastri. They have underachieved. They were saying, I think in Baku, that they were going to bring these upgrades that was going to put them even with Mercedes. That didn't happen. I think Baku was their worst weekend of the season. They were just blowing up everywhere and crashing into each other. And yeah, and even the race that they did do well, Australia, they threw it away by crashing into each other. Like, oh man, double DNFs before, 2 double DNFs before Belgium as well. They did end off on a decent note with Gasly P3 in the sprint, and I think Ocon had decent points in the race. But still, just another year of disappointment for that team and underachieving, and they just have no direction. So, yeah,
I think this is nail on the head. I think they're absolutely the obvious choice. So I'd be surprised if Darnell went that way, because, like Darnell said earlier, we like to go off the board.
I don't go off
But no, you're completely right. And like they've lost all like their path. Like they don't know where they're going. They need a compass. Like they don't like
they do.
like
They need Ryan Reynolds
have
to
no
run the
idea.
show.
Exactly.
Put Ryan Reynolds in the paddock, and he'll turn that ship around.
Just Deadpool's like their team principal now.
Yeah, exactly.
And that investment was like all great news, and then they just double DNF'd in Hungary, and everyone was like, "Okay, yeah, nothing's changed yet."
Yeah,
Imagine dumping in
that
like
money
7.
away.
Imagine dumping in like 700 mil like they did, and then just watch your cars crash into each other.
Watch it
It's
go
like,
into the wall. Like,
okay,
light that on fire.
Yeah, that is a very Alpine thing to do. So I guess why don't we do this snake draft? We'll go back to Kyle. Who do you got
Okay,
for your demise?
Brad, I'm sorry. I like to bend the rules. I actually have 2 here, but I'll make it
Okay.
short and sweet. My first one's Aston Martin.
That's crazy.
They have just lost all of the pace. They came out as the second fastest car, and they're projecting to probably finish 4th or 5th.
I kind of disagree with you.
The demise of the first half
Yeah,
is
they were
the team that
horrendous
made the
last year.
biggest jump.
They're second.
no.
They're third in the championship.
That's it. Okay. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm going to make it short and sweet. I just don't like how some recency bias again, just like my McLaren take. I don't like the direction that they're going to go. And simply, Lance Stroll sucks. We've talked about it all podcast. Alonso can only do so much, and his car's not as good as Max's, so he can't carry his team to the next level. So I'm really worried about the Aston Martin.
You don't forget, though, they have a lot of wind tunnel time to use. They have upgrades coming. Like, the car
Darnell,
will get quicker again.
I was on Aston Martin last year to make big jumps. I'm team Aston Martin. I was excited at the start. I am terrified panic button now.
I see. I don't
not
think you
there.
should be. I think this was still an incredible step. Next year, they should make another step. They have, stalled a little bit in development, which is a bit of a concern. Lance Stroll obviously is a concern as well.
Yeah.
But I do think like this team wasn't aiming like they're ahead of schedule. They were aiming at like 25, 26 to when they're going to be really competitive, and they're already really competitive.
But don't you think that's kind of like shoot yourself in the foot because the regulations are going to change and everything?
No,
like
not at all. Take the strides when you can take them.
I'm nervous.
It's about getting the right infrastructure in place for when they do start those new regs.
Yeah.
And I think the hires they've made have all obviously panned out. And this new factory is only going to help as well. They're still not like really fully integrated into it yet. I think that is an L take, Kyle. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, like that was my tinkering. My real one is Sergio Perez.
Okay. I like that one better.
This guy sucks.
No,
he's no longer mid. He's in a rocket ship. You're barely hanging on to second.
I'm sorry, you're just wrong.
No, dude, why is he passing 100 cars? It doesn't make any sense.
You're wrong.
Him passing 100 cars is literally ludicrous.
I'm going to defend my boy.
Probably has 4 overtakes.
I'm going to defend my boy. Yes. Is he Valtteri Bottas in those Mercedes years? No, he's not. He's not consistently second, consistently beating Lewis in qualifying. He's not that. He doesn't suck though. Like you don't have to go with the extremes. He's mid.
Everyone who would be ahead of Sergio Perez right now in that car: Alonso, Hamilton, Charles, Russell, Sainz,
Sainz. No. Whoa. Sainz and him are in the same category.
No chance. If you put Perez in a Ferrari, he has 14 points.
How do you go from he sucks to only 7 drivers are better than him?
Like because the car's at 10 and he's a 6.
Brad.
So I think this also is not even just about Checo. I think this also speaks volumes about the disrespect to Max Verstappen as well. Like Max Verstappen is incredible. He's dominated. I'm a Lewis guy. Look at the shirt I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fire shirt.
That's so good.
I'm a huge Lewis guy. But Max is already dominating more than he ever dominated. Like this domination is Michael Schumacher level and arguably even better. Like this is domination we have never seen before. He is different, man. Like he's so good. He doesn't put a foot wrong, like ever. That is insane. He's so quick. Checo the car is part of it for sure. But dude, anyone would be their confidence would be absolutely shot going next to that guy because you're looking at the data and you're like, how does he do that? How does he do that?
So why doesn't he finish on pole every race?
Max?
Yeah.
Well, the car isn't as good in qualifying as it is in the race. They've set it up like that from the start.
I'm just saying, but if he was so dominant in the best, why isn't he finishing on pole even if it's not set up for quality?
Lewis didn't have every pole. Like the car, to Brad's point, is set up for race pace because they don't need to be pole to win. You don't get points for pole.
Doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter where he qualifies anyway because he's going to win from P20.
Yeah, it helps. Of course, it helps to not have to overtake anyone. But if you're second or third, whatever, he's still going to win.
I'm just saying, Perez
single lap
overrated.
pace is not a true measure of your.
I don't hate the take because I think Perez has been disappointing. I think the flashpoint of the season was Miami. I mean, that performance from Max Verstappen was otherworldly, and Perez was so disappointing. I mean, we were talking about a championship aspirations. You have to win when Max Verstappen actually does make a mistake in qualifying.
Yep.
And the way Max just like closed that gap, even on like the older tires, it was sensational. And I mean, that's why I think you're also disrespecting Max a little bit. So Checo's not terrible, but yes, he has been disappointing. So I can't really hate the take, but you're going a little bit
Look,
overboard,
Brad,
I think.
it's a guy's duty to be the 10th guy. If the first 9 guys say yes, the 10th guy's got to say no and ask why.
Fair enough. All right.
Get
Let's
me
go
fired
to,
up here.
What's yours, buddy? Or
Darnell's.
Darnell's, right? Sorry.
Yep.
I have Pirelli, but I don't think it's their fault. Let me explain. Okay, off the board. I always go off the board. The reason I have Pirelli is I don't remember a season where cars could go an entire race on a single set of tires. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The problem is, though, the FIA and F1 have handcuffed Pirelli where they have to build a safe tire. And as a result, they've built a tire that's so durable, you don't actually need to make a pit stop. I was watching a race from 2012, if I'm not mistaken. These guys are making 3 or 4 pits. Everyone, the leaders, what doesn't matter, they're making 3 or 4 pit stops. Excuse me. And it was awesome. It was complete pandemonium. The grid was being thrown all over the place. You didn't know who was following. It was nuts. It was amazing. And we're at a point now where it's basically a procession. You know you're going to come in, you might get the undercut, then you get it overtaken. Like it's just kind of predictable. And so I think there's conversations about is Bridgestone coming back, a tire, whatever competition. I don't think that's what we need. I think what we need is to force the teams to do more tire tests so that we can build a tire that's safe, but that's also going to degrade to a point where we see 2-3 pit stops. So for me, the first half of the season, a lot of it, while it has been exciting, I think we're missing an element of strategy that would be in there if the tires were less durable. And as a result, I have Pirelli.
It's not a bad take.
No, I like the take. I think there's a few things there. I think we'd arguably seeing more domination though if the tires were worse, just because Red Bull is by far the best on their tires. And I do think it was also a little bit worse at the beginning of the season. I feel like lately we have actually had some 2-stop races. I don't know if it was anything really to do with that new construction of the Pirelli tire. I don't think it was. I think it was just a little bit more track specific with like Hungary and Belgium just chew into your tires a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But no, I think you're absolutely right. I think you said like 2011, 2012, whatever year it was. That was just at the end of the tire war, and Pirelli had actually just started out, and they weren't really that good at making tires yet. That's why the tires were just falling off a cliff. Now they've actually understood how to make a good tire, and they've made them too good.
It's too
yeah. So a tire war also. Sorry, so go ahead.
I said further to your point, Brad, is you could argue that Red Bull's pit team, if you will, is so much better than the rest, like consistently doing 2.2s and whatever, would also increase their gap.
Yeah, I almost take them out of it though. Like, okay, yeah, you're right. You are right. They'd be more dominant. They're already dominant. It doesn't matter.
But they're probably buying a full second and a half just off pit stops.
Yeah, if they average around 2 to 2.2, yeah. But I mean, like the rest of the field would be more chaotic. Max is going to win regardless.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It would be more fun.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be more fun.
Yeah, for sure. No, operationally, Red Bull is the best. I think there are other good pit crews. Like I feel like McLaren at times can be really quick. Even Williams, I feel like they actually have a pretty solid pit crew. Ferrari is
Sainz has had I think he's had a fastest so far this season. Like they can get it right really well.
Mercedes is just trash in the pit
always,
stops.
Yeah.
I hate it. I'm like
consistently over.
They come into pit stops, and every time I'm like, oh, 3.0, that's standard.
And that's what they want too. They're like,
but like that's a nice pit for us.
It's a consistent. It's a consistent like 3 seconds.
If Ferrari comes into the pit, I literally go for a walk. I'm like, I don't want to see this.
I almost wonder if it's a philosophy for Mercedes where they're just like, we'd rather not make a mistake and just do 3 seconds than try and do it quick and then have these mistakes from time to time. I don't know.
Build it in, right?
Like I actually don't hate that.
You know your window. Whereas Ferrari, it might be great. It might be absolute trash.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, well, since we're doing snake, we'll go right back to Darnell for your surprise of the first half.
I could go off the board. Should I go off the board one more time? Is
Do
that
it,
my
buddy.
thing? All right.
If you don't pick a driver or constructor, though, I'm gonna lose it because
I-
you went regulations and then tires.
Okay, my off the board is not, but I'll go on the board. I'll go with Oscar. Okay, I'll go with the safe choice. Oscar Piastri. Coming into the season, he made the right decision to not go with Alpine. Let's go with that first of all. But we talked about it a bit before. Yes, he has the pedigree, but you never really know if that's going to translate, especially when you go up against a teammate like Lando Norris in a car at the beginning of the season that was absolutely horrendous. He started off a little rocky, kind of getting his bearings in F1, but he has really, really shined the last few races rather. And I think I'm not going to say he's a potential world champion. I think we got to pump the brakes a little bit when you have Lando, George, and Charles still ahead of him. But he is definitely a race winner. And I think he could do it in that McLaren if they can continue on this trajectory. And I'm really excited for that driver lineup. If they continue to develop the car, maybe they won't compete with Max, but I think that they're going to be right there with Mercedes over the next.
They're gonna have the
couple
best
seasons.
driver lineup, like
As soon as Lewis retires,
exactly.
they're the best. That is
exactly
the best
what I was
pairing.
gonna say.
The best pairing, unless
For
Lando
sure.
leaves.
Yeah, which I mean is possible, but yeah, no, I completely agree. Oscar has been a very pleasant surprise. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. I think we've seen it
You nailed
the
it.
past few Grand Prix. Like, he is a pretty special rookie. We haven't had a rookie like this in a while, so it's really nice to see.
Who would have been the last one? George?
But he was in the terrible Williams, so it's really hard
Yep.
to show like his
talent.
his talent.
That's why
Lando
Albon's so
was
impressive
also-
right now.
What was that?
That's why Albon's so impressive right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't have to get into mine yet because we're going to go to you. But I will say I do have something kind of Williams related.
Okay,
today
okay.
in a
Little
moment. But
teaser.
anyway,
Sneak
we'll
peek.
go to you.
This is a surprise demise for me.
Okay.
Um,
He has a lot of demises.
Yeah, he
well,
does. He's
I got
hating on the
corals.
season.
I got corals. I told you guys I woke up spicy. Mine's Leclerc.
Okay.
And
Interesting.
as a Ferrari fan and being the second best car last year and watching all the other teams make such strides, like he had 3 wins, 11 podiums, 9 poles, and he was the only one who was able to fight Max last year. To move to this year where he only has 3 podiums, 5th in the driver's standings, 3 no-point races, it's surprising that he's not a top 3 driver.
Is it him though?
I never said that.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying it's surprising to see him 5th in the standings.
I like it. I didn't think of it at all. I love that take. I think it's been a pretty rocky season for Leclerc, especially after, like you said, we were talking of world championships last year at the beginning of the season, and this year it's kind of just like he feels more like a Carlos Sainz than he does a Max
He feels
Verstappen.
very mid, and that was surprising to me.
Oh,
He's still
What
a
a
great
take!
qualifier. I mean, I'm just saying.
Honestly, I would
think
love
the
to
talent
defend
is
my
still
guy,
there.
but he's right.
Closer to
But
Carlos.
he's right.
Oh,
I
love
want to
it.
defend my guy, but he's right. That's why it's surprising.
I like it. I like it. I
That's
feel
some
for him,
heat,
though.
Kyle. I respect it.
I think for me, the quintessential moment is Canada, where he wanted to come in, right? He wanted to come in for tires. The
And
team
yelled.
told him no, and he stayed out. Dude, do what Carlos is doing. Make up your own fucking strategy.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I feel like he's still, I don't know if he just doesn't have it in him, or if he just wants to trust the team. Like, I feel like it might be more the latter, where he just wants the team to be like a Red Bull, so he wants to
Yep.
trust them, and then he keeps doing it, and then he's like, God damn it.
And now there's rumors that there's the extensions on the table, that he's probably going to sign it. Can you imagine 2 or 3 more years of him in a Ferrari? Just, I don't know. I feel his career just spiraling. I don't know. I personally don't think he ever gets a world championship. And I've said that before. I don't think he has it in him, but I think time is going to run out and Lando's going to surpass him and George is going to surpass him.
The only way he gets it is if he takes Perez's seat.
which is not going to happen. Doesn't seem like.
A, it's not going to happen. B, he has to deal with Max, and I still think Max is better than
Max would bury him mentally, I think. Bury him.
I don't think the second Red Bull seat is as enticing as people make it out to be, because I just don't think anyone can beat Max. So you're not going to go there and win a championship. You might win some races if that's your aspiration in your career, to win some races. You'll do that. But I had this discussion with a friend of mine that he's the Red Bull fan that I bring on quite a few times now. He asked me if he ever thinks Leclerc is going to leave Ferrari, and I would have to say I don't think he ever will. He has stronger ties to that team than I think anyone else does on the grid, besides maybe Max and Lewis in their respective teams.
It's so sad. Just feel bad for him. He's like a McDavid in Edmonton. It's like, you're never going to win there, man. Just leave.
We're going to look back 20 years from now and be like, what could have been?
Yep, 100% agree.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. So anyway, we'll go into my surprise. Like I said, I didn't actually choose Albon or Williams, but that's who I made a last minute switch this morning.
Okay.
I had Williams because I think they have actually been very surprising.
Or the team.
They bring in Vowels. And I was a bit concerned. Like they had brand new management at the beginning of the season, and I'm like, I feel like they're probably going to take a backward step. I hate to say it because I am a Williams guy, but they have been operationally brilliant this year. I think. I don't think they have a quick car, but their pit stops, their strategies have been amazing, and Alex Albon is a perfect driver to build around. So I think that was a pleasant surprise to see, them up there in P7 right now. But admittedly, I think the most surprising thing about this season is that Daniel Ricciardo has returned. I mean, after everything that happened last year, he said he didn't want to come back to a team like AlphaTauri, and then he joins a P10 squad. I mean, a driver dropped mid-season. I think that's just incredibly surprising. So I went for that just because last season, if someone said, oh yeah, Daniel's probably going to join mid-season at AlphaTauri, I would have been like, no. Like, have you heard anything that he's said so far? Like, he's not going to do that. So
I made a joke on our pod that Red Bull increased their recycling program because they just gave all their broken parts to AlphaTauri.
Yeah, and there's even rumors that AlphaTauri is just going to run the RB19 next year.
It's just wild. It's wild.
I don't think that's happening.
No, because they've come out multiple times, and lots of people have said this. They like to design their own parts as much as they can. Like to design their own parts. So if that's the case, if they're actually going to take the old Red Bull, it just speaks to what's going on behind the scenes with that team. And I wonder what the future is once we get into the new regulations there.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. Like, what's the point of the team if they're just going to take the old Red Bull?
I don't know why they allow it, to be perfectly honest with you.
I'm not sure they do. Like, I think those rumors are a little like, I never really read into them too much. I just kind of saw the headlines and I was like, no, like that's not going to happen. But yeah, no, it is kind of strange. Like for a sister team, junior team, whatever you want to call them, like they're not even in the same country as Red Bull.
I know.
Like AlphaTauri's in Italy, Red Bull's in England. It's confusing, but no, that's my biggest surprise of the first half is the fact that Ricciardo has already returned and he's in the worst team in the constructors standings.
And it's not even close. That car stinks.
I think it's close. I think their driver lineup, because they don't have a second driver, and Yuki's been a bit unlucky. I think that's the only reason why they're like a few points behind the Haas Alfa Romeo group there with Williams. I feel like you're ready to say something, Darnell.
Well, I was going to say I think the Haas and the AlphaTauri are equally as bad. The Alfa Romeo is so hard to get a feel for. They never show it on the broadcast, so it's really kind of hard to get a feel for. Is it the drivers? Is it the strategy?
They're the most anonymous team.
They just exist until 26. They just exist.
Yeah, and that's a puzzling one too, where I'm not really sure what the direction is for that team, at least in the short term. Obviously, when Audi comes in, different story. But for the next 2 years, it's like, where are these guys going to be? Like, what are they doing with this driver lineup? It doesn't seem very good, for lack of a better word. So it's a bit puzzling. So yeah, why don't we look ahead though at the second half? How I figured we could do this is I wrote down 5 kind of just talking points that we can go through instead of being like, okay, make a bold prediction. I'm just going to ask you guys a question, see what you think. And I'm going to start off with, I think the question that's been asked a million times so far in the first half, will there be a new winner this season? Or will Red Bull
Oh, that's a good
be free?
question.
Wow, I didn't think of that.
That's a really good question. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a Red Bull sweep. As mid as Perez is, if Max drops the ball, he'll pick it up. Yeah, no. I honestly think if it's this year, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but reliability is not really a thing. Every car almost makes it to the finish line.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, just for
So
Alpine, basically.
Yeah,
yeah,
Alpine,
exactly.
yeah. Alpha's had issues, but besides that, yeah.
Yeah, but like teams you forget, right?
Exactly.
So
The top,
like
the top 5 teams.
Russell had a big retirement in Australia. He was
yeah, he
leading the race, I
did.
think, when he he was leading the race.
Or some, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
no, you're
I
100%
think he
right.
came in for an early pit stop. He was leading the race, came in for like an early pit stop, and then retired there. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, no, I think that Red Bull car's too good. And to be honest, a hot take maybe, but if there is someone to win the race, I think it's a McLaren.
I'll take the field. I'll take the field because you can never rule out shenanigans. You know what I mean? I know we've had wet races already, and they've still managed to win every single one. But it just takes a wet race. Someone taps him in the rear, Lewis, puts him in a wall, and
You realize you have to catch up to the Red Bull to do that, right?
But it happens off the start. Think back to Silverstone last year with Zhou on the top, like on his head going down the straight. You know what I mean? Like it just takes something like that, or Valtteri taking out half the field a couple years ago, and you never really know. So I'll take the field because of shenanigans, not because of race pace.
Well, when you say shenanigans, and I'm looking at the races left, you're basically saying Singapore or Japan. If they get through those two races, it's almost over, if you will.
We don't know what Vegas is going to bring.
And we don't know Qatar either because it doesn't, we've only had one race there. But Vegas is a good shout. Who knows?
Yeah, and Brazil seems to be one of those races where it just kind of equalizes the field a little bit. Like Red Bull was not very good there last year, and they were dominant in the second half. And all of a sudden, the straight line speed of the other teams because of the elevation was just pretty on par with them. So I don't know. I personally I'm going to take Red Bull to do it. Honestly, I think Max Verstappen is just operating on a different level. Like I've said many times, Red Bull just doesn't seem to make any mistakes. They might make a mistake in qualifying. It doesn't matter. I think Singapore is a good shout there, Kyle. If they make another mistake in qualifying there, that's a tough one, just regardless of pace.
Yeah, Checo won it last year, but you get rain, you never know there.
Yeah, no, I think it's hard to say because we're just trying to predict the future. We can't possibly, know if they're gonna run into any shenanigans. But I will say, I think the way that Max drives into turn one, like he would literally go out on the grass to avoid a collision at this moment because he's just like, it doesn't matter. Like as long as I don't crash on the first lap, we're good to go. Okay. My next
That's a
one.
really good question.
Yeah, I like that.
Will Daniel Ricciardo outperform Tsunoda?
Hard no. Yuki's the best driver on the grid.
Oh yeah, I guess I should have known that from Kyle's take.
I also think no. This might be a hot take on it itself. I don't think Daniel Ricciardo is that great. Like he had his window of time with Red Bull where he was phenomenal. He had that one season with Renault where he was great. Okay, he's a race winner. That was 6 years ago. Like let's pump the brakes on the Daniel Ricciardo love. I love having him on the grid. The personality is amazing, but he's not that great.
I want to agree with you, but like even like Red Bull's come out and like doing the simulations, they were like, I don't know what happened to him, but we're fixing him. I don't think he's like a race winner again, but I still think
same.
I know I'm not saying
great
he's a race
drivers
winner.
out there.
Mercedes has proven that.
But what I'm saying is, I wouldn't be surprised if he scores points.
Yeah, I guess.
I have a bit of a boring answer to this one.
I don't bury him in 19th. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't think he's 19th, but I don't think he's people again. They're just like, oh my God, Daniel Ricciardo's back. This is incredible. He's fine.
He's just a social media darling, man.
He's worse than Checo. You think Checo's awful. Can we agree that Checo's better than Daniel Ricciardo, though?
Oh,
if you say no on this,
no, I'm with you on here. I'm with you on you. I'm with you on this one, bud.
Ricciardo's had higher career peaks than Checo, but right now I think you'd have to definitely back Checo. My boring answer for this one is that I think Sonoda will outperform him, but Ricardo probably will have some good moments. I'm hoping that he just shows that he's on like a decent trajectory and stays in Formula One next year, just because I feel like off track stuff is more fun in Formula One when Ricardo's around. So I hope he sticks around, but I'm going to back Sonoda to score more points if AlphaTauri scores any points in the second half.
Yuki
So
will get
yeah,
a couple.
I think he will. He'll get some P9s or 10s, something in there.
probably.
Or 6.
I don't know about that. The
maybe,
car's not
maybe a
fast
podium,
enough.
right, Kyle? Maybe a podium. He's better than Checo, so he should be finishing P2, right?
Honestly, give him the Red Bull. Watch him.
I've always wanted to see that. Like, just let AlphaTauri and Red Bull switch drivers for a race.
Man, I wanted to see that forever. Like,
Yeah, it'd be
Max has
so
already
cool.
won the constructors on his own.
Yeah, but now they got to go for the clean sweep.
Yeah,
and history, right?
Priorities have changed.
He's going for the race win record at this point.
Yeah, true. Which I don't know if you guys noticed this. Zandvoort's the next race. He will tie Sebastian Vettel if he wins at his home race. It's pretty cool. Well, we kind of already talked about this one a little bit, and I had them Will McLaren catch Aston Martin. So I guess we can go through this one quickly. What do you guys think?
I gotta look at the points quickly. I gotta confirm. So Aston's got 196, 103. No, I don't think so.
The long second half.
The reason I think they can't is the reason I think it'll be difficult is I don't think we're going to see Lando, Oscar continuously getting second and third. And if you're just kind of fighting in that 5, 6, 7, there's not enough points up for grabs.
You need a payday.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You need a big payday. You need a Max crash. You need a miracle wet race
2,
where
3.
he gets second and Alonso doesn't get points. Like you need those types of things, and I think that'll be tough to come by consistently.
I was just looking at like where they're at in terms of points, like so far for McLaren. Almost 100 points is a big step.
Yeah,
and like I know I'm like bearish on Aston Martin right now and bullish on McLaren, but I think it's too much.
It is a big gap to come back from, and it would be insane to see them pull it off. I also don't think they will, but I think it's going to be closer than I think maybe you guys are giving it credit for. I think these big paydays, they have already came, and Lance Stroll is never really like maybe one race we can give him like
2 on 1.
It is. That's exactly my point. It's 2 on 1. If Fernando isn't in a great car, then we could see the McLarens have some races where they get 3-4, 3-5, and those will add up over time. There is still quite a few races to go. I think it's possible, so that's why I put it in there, but I'm also going to say no. I think Fernando will have a decent amount of good performances just to kind of maintain that gap, but it's going to be close, I think.
I snap called yes, thinking absolutely, and then I realized like the deficit is so large. Like if they're at 120, I think I'm saying yes.
and let's not forget the McLaren doesn't have great straight line speed, so Abu Dhabi not great for them. Vegas not going to be great for them. We have Monza coming up, not going to be great for them. Like there's quite a few races coming up where they're probably not going to be anywhere near a podium.
That's a good call.
It's going to work.
Yeah,
I think they'll be competitive in Zandvoort, though. I think that's a track that probably suits them perfectly.
Zandvoort, Qatar, they'll be pretty good. Probably that's a lot. It's all turns. Qatar's all turns as well. So yeah.
All right. Well, and then I kind of just left this one open. Do you have any big silly season predictions? Because we have a lot of drivers still to sign for next year, and nothing's really been announced.
I don't think so. I don't think any major surprises. I think Lewis will sign his contract. The Haas drivers, like you mentioned,
That has taken a long time, though.
Yeah, but it always does. They always play this dance. He's gonna sign. Like, what else is he gonna do? He's not going to Ferrari. That's not happening. He's not going to that shit show. So I think we're gonna see a pretty standard procedure for the rest of the silly season. And then the offseason we'll see. Because I think we need to see how Checo finishes, right? That will be probably one of the spicier things if he has a poor second half. But I think we'll see pretty standard procedure the next couple of weeks.
Honestly, Darnell, I don't do this often, but I completely agree with you.
The
boring silly season. All right. I mean, the last 2 seasons have kind of made up for it. I think we're due for a boring one. So I don't have anything. I had some crazy ones at the beginning of the year, but I don't believe them anymore. So
tinfoil hats off.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, I think this has been a great chat, guys. But now I'm going to put your F1 knowledge to the
Oh
test
boy.
Oh
with
yeah,
a
we have
trivia
the
game.
Dial in
okay.
here. Dial
I
in.
know, Kyle, you
It-
just did a trivia
Just a
game.
disclaimer to the listeners: Darnell's going to absolutely roast me on this.
Not necessarily. You're good with the stats. You're good with that stuff. I'm not.
I apologize. I tried to keep in mind that Kyle's not exactly the biggest Formula One guy. So I'm hoping that this will be even. I'm hoping it'll work out. So we'll start out. How I got it is I'm going to ask you guys both 2 questions that are worth 1 point.
Mhm.
And then a second round, just 1 question each for 2. Then a third round for 3. A fourth round for 4. And you'll see the fourth round's a little bit different. And then we're ending it off with a wager question where I'm not going to tell you what the question is before, but you can wager your points. So I'm going to keep track.
Oh, so it's like Jeopardy meets Who
Kind
Wants
of.
to Be a Millionaire.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm
So we'll
not.
start off here. For 1 point, we'll start with Darnell.
Okay.
The black and orange flag, aka the meatball flag, forces
Mhm.
a driver to do what?
They have to pick because they have damage.
Yeah. Okay. So 1 point for Darnell.
Yeah,
Now-
it's Kevin Magnuson's favorite flag.
Yes. I think
I actually don't think I would have gotten that.
I think he's pulled it out 3 times, and I think all the other drivers I've seen in my life combined have pulled it out like once. So
Not to
that-
sidebar, but speaking of flags, did you see the guy interview the green flag guy in the last race, and he was so
Oh,
excited
yeah.
to wave it that they did rolling starts, like he couldn't wave the flag, and they
That
panned
was
to him. He's so
hilarious.
disappointed. Anyway,
He got
sorry,
it in
I
the
don't
Grand
wanna
Prix.
sidebar. Oh, did he? Okay,
He did
good.
actually
That's
get to
good.
wave it in the Grand Prix. Yeah, but that was
Good for
hilarious.
him.
Like the sprint, and I don't remember, the commentary was hilarious. He was like, "Oh, poor Bernard."
Yeah, I thought it was so funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
All right, sorry to sidebar you.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Kyle. Can you name the track in Brazil?
Oh
Easy.
fuck,
Easy
Rio.
money. You say Leo?
I said Rio.
Oh.
Rio? No.
Can I
that is
steal
incorrect.
points? Can I steal?
No, we're not doing
No,
steals.
no
We're not doing
steals.
steals. So the answer is
He's
Interlagos.
Googling it. He's Googling it.
No, I'm not. I'm actually looking at the construction points right now.
Interlagos, yes. My favorite
Interlagos
track.
is the correct answer. Okay, so it's
favorite
1-0 Darnell.
All right, I like everyone likes to come back.
Okay. Now, Darnell, can you name one component of a Formula One power unit? Just one. There's like 7 of them.
One component of the power unit.
Yeah.
Let's go with the MGUK.
Yep, that is correct.
What the fuck?
There's an ICE, MGUK, MGUH,
MGUH.
control electronics, energy store, turbocharger.
If you play the game, you'll know them. That's
Yeah,
straight
that's
up. If you
very
play the
true.
game, you'll know them.
Playing the F1 game is key. All right, Kyle. Hopefully this is a bit of a layup for you.
Let's hope.
Which team
need
has
to-
the most wins in F1 history?
Most wins. I'm gonna go. Honestly, this is just such a homer question, and I'm gonna go Ferrari.
It's Ferrari. Correct. Okay. Now it's
Thank you, sir. 3-2.
2-1 Darnell after round 1. So now we go into round 2, and this is the 2021 season round. One
Round
question
3?
each.
Or round.
No, this is round 2. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Round
Okay.
1
Oh,
was
right.
1
Two
point
questions
question.
each. Right.
Okay,
right.
so
Yeah.
now we're
Yeah.
entering round 2. Okay,
2 points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the 2021 season round. One
Okay.
question each.
2021 season.
Okay.
This is. I didn't watch 2021.
You
I'm
know.
in trouble.
You know
Okay.
things. You know things.
Well, we'll see. The 2021 season, obviously, dominated by Red Bull and Mercedes. So, Kyle, they had the same amount of 1-2 finishes in this season. How many did they each have?
Oh.
That's super easy at 17.
That's like not even possible.
What do you mean?
Each.
No, like, sorry.
Each.
Let me be clear. Yeah. So like
I
a
thought you
Red
meant-
Bull 1-2 or a Mercedes 1-2, not like
Okay,
Max
my
Lewis.
bad. My bad.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I have a number. I don't know if it's right. That's not my question. But
How many times did Red Bull or Mercedes come 1-2?
So that means it
I
had to
know what
be
it is.
Sergio Max, Max Sergio, or Lewis, Valtteri, Valtteri Lewis. 1-2 in the race.
Sorry. Jeez, this is tough. I'm just gonna do.
there are what 21 races, I think.
I was going off 22, but I trust
Maybe.
I trust you better. I did, like I said, I barely watched this season. I just watched Drive to Survive, but I'm gonna do 6.
So this was a bit of a trick question. The answer is 0. McLaren was the
that's
only
surprising.
1-2 finish of the 2021 season.
That actually makes sense now that I think about it.
Yep. So the answer is 0.
Wow.
That was a tough one. But I
That's
like that
all right.
stat, so I wanted to throw that question
Yeah,
in
no,
there.
no, that's a great question.
That's a good one.
Little,
All right.
little knowledge for us.
So for Darnell, who was best of the rest in the Drivers' Championship after the top 4 being the Red Bull and Mercedes drivers?
Lando.
Incorrect. It's Carlos Sainz.
Carlos.
I had to throw that one in there for you.
It was Carlos, then Leclerc, then Lando, right?
I think
that-
yeah, because McLaren kind of fell off at the end of the season. So, yep, Lando was probably the driver of the season after the top 4.
Yeah, I should
but
have given that some fucking
didn't have the
point. Yes.
Plus, you should have known that I was going to ask you a Carlos Sainz question. I mean, come on.
Just threw away 2 points. Okay, it doesn't matter. So did Kyle. He didn't throw it away, but we both got it wrong, so it's fine.
All right, so now we're going into the 3-point round.
This is already under protest because my difficulty seems a little higher than yours.
We'll see. This is the 2023 first half round.
Okay.
For 3 points.
Now we go.
For 3 points. We'll start with Darnell. Which non-Red Bull driver has scored the most points in sprints this year?
Oh, and sprints. That's a spicy question for
Wow.
you, D.
Okay, so there's only been 2, right? Baku and
3.
What am I missing?
Austria.
Baku, Austria.
Belgium,
Sorry.
Austria.
Okay, let's math this out. So Gasly had a podium in Belgium. Leclerc had a podium in Baku. So by that, I'm gonna say Leclerc because I believe he would have done better in Austria.
Leclerc is incorrect. The answer is Carlos Sainz.
I love it. That's an alpha move.
Can
Carlos
I
Sainz.
protest? He
15
used
points.
he used to race for Toro Rosso, so technically he's a Red Bull driver.
No, this year. Of
I'm
course.
joking. I'm joking.
All right.
Oh, no.
I love that he double dipped you. That's unreal.
Did you know that answer, Kyle?
I was between like 2 guys, but he was on it.
Carlos hasn't been top 3 in I don't think any session this year, but he's been P4, P4, P5 in the sprints. So he's just racked up those mid points. So Kyle, only
What's going on?
Max, Lewis, and Fernando have scored every single Sunday this year. Which of the 3 has had the worst finishing position? And what position was it?
Let's see, I got a 2-part where you got to lay up Carlos. I'm gonna do Alonso.
And to help you out, I'll say that is correct. But what position?
I'm in between 8 and 9. I'm trying to think because I know we let
I know what it
Lance
is.
beat him
Yeah, in Spain.
Am I on the right race? Do you know the answer to this?
That's what I would have said. I would have said
It's
that
not
race.
Spain.
It's not
It's
Spain.
not Spain.
I'm gonna do 9.
That is correct. Alonso
Oh!
Hungary is P9. That's
Hungary.
3 points for Kyle. That's huge. Okay, so now it's 4-2 for Kyle
Oh,
going
boy.
into the
Oh,
4-point
boy.
round. But this is a big round.
Oh boy.
It's a little bit different than the
If I
past
beat
rounds.
you, you're not the
Oh,
F1
no.
guy anymore, buddy.
Oh no!
Hold on. This is a big round, okay? So the 4-point round is, I'm calling it the name 4 round because I'm asking you a question where there's 4 answers and you get a point for each answer.
Okay.
So it's
okay.
not an all or nothing question. We'll start with Kyle since he's in the lead.
Good.
This is going to be a tough one for you because it's a little bit F1 history, but we'll see what you can get. There were 4 drivers in contention for the championship in 2010, the title decider in Abu Dhabi. It's one of the most famous races in Formula One history. Going into the last race, 4 drivers could win the championship.
I know 3, I think.
Can you name 4?
Okay. And each one I get's 1, right? Obviously.
Yeah, so only 4 guesses.
All right, I'll do Lewis.
That's correct.
I'll do Vettel.
That's correct.
I'll do Alonso.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And I'll do
If you get, can I guess? I'm not for the point. I'm just curious.
Sure. If you don't want to throw a name out there, Kyle, we'll say you got 3. And
okay,
who
well,
do you
I'll
think
throw
it
a
is?
name if Darnell throws a name. I'll do Nico Rockenberg or whatever. Lewis's old
Rosberg?
teammate.
Rosberg?
There's not
sure.
Nico Rosberg.
Was it Weber?
It was Mark Webber.
Yeah,
that is
okay.
correct. Okay.
Dude, I got 3. I'm pumped.
That's impressive.
I just sealed the win.
No, I still have a chance because the
Dude,
wager
I'm up
won.
by. I'm due up. Oh yeah, the wager
wager
question.
won.
But I was gonna say I'm up by 2. I just got 3. I'm up by 5 going in.
Yeah, but if
You
I get
can't
all
get-
4, I'm down 1, and then
I know. I
how
forgot
much
about
do
the
you
wager,
my
question.
friend? Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. I forgot about the wager question. I
So
thought
it
I
is
just locked it up.
Okay, I
currently
gotta focus.
7-2 for Kyle. That's a big
Gotta
lead.
focus. You gotta focus. Gotta focus.
But Darnell, do you know your Michael Schumacher?
Oh fuck! I don't. That
Ferrari,
was
baby.
so long ago. Oh jeez, you're gonna win,
He
Kyle.
drove, for,
Go ahead.
he drove for 4 teams in Formula One.
Okay.
Can you name them?
Ferrari, Mercedes.
Yep, 1, 2.
Okay. I don't know if this is right. Benetton.
That's correct.
Oh, that's the we started
Good
with.
pull,
This-
good pull,
This last
good
one's
pull.
the hardest for sure, but this is the team he made his debut for.
They don't still exist. That's the hard part.
They do not. They do not exist.
Okay. It's not Lotus. It's not Jordan. It's Jordan.
Yes, it is Jordan.
Let's
Correct.
go!
All 4 for Darnell.
Let's go, baby.
Okay, so that makes it 7-6. This makes it very interesting. Okay, now actually, I should have maybe thought this through because I realized I don't know how you can secretly tell me what your wager is without the
One of
other
us closes
person
our
knowing.
eyes, the other one puts up to the screen. Simple.
Okay, sure. So I'll tell you the category of the question.
Okay.
It's driver numbers.
Okay.
It's all about the numbers on the car. I promise you, they're not that hard, but you don't know how hard they're going to be, and you don't know, I guess, how well you know
What a
numbers.
bitch.
Are there
So-
multiple we have to say, or it's just
No.
one?
It is one question.
It's just like Jeopardy, bud.
Just making sure.
Do
Okay.
we have
Confirming.
the exact same question, or is it
No.
2 different ones?
2 different questions.
All right.
Okay, so we'll start with Darnell.
Oh,
So yeah,
no.
Kyle, look away. We're not going to do the question. We're just going to do the wager. So you have 6 points, Darnell. How many points would you
Oh,
like to
man,
wager
this
on
is
this
tough.
question?
Okay. Just because I think I know what Kyle will go with, I'm going with this.
Okay, Darnell,
I'm
I got
locked
your
in.
wager.
I'm locked in.
Am I good?
You're good.
Yep. And now, I guess it doesn't really matter anymore. You can just say what you
No, it
wager
does.
because
No, I guess it doesn't matter.
the strategy part is over. So Kyle can
Yeah.
just pick. You're wagering 0.
Big old 0. I'm banking that
Well,
I'm not
Darnell
going to
does
tell. I'm not going to
know
tell
it.
you what I wagered. I'm not going to tell you what I wagered.
Well,
I don't care what you wagered. If you wagered 1, guess what? You can tie.
All right,
we'll
here
start
we
with
go.
Kyle then for the dramatic effect.
We won't be
'cause his
tied, I'll
question-
tell you that
This question
much.
doesn't really matter. So, can you name Esteban Ocon's number, Kyle?
And this is why I wagered 0 is I have no idea
Let me think
about
this.
driver numbers. I'm gonna say 10 because it's my
No,
favorite
that's
number.
Gasly.
That is Pierre Gasly's number. It
I
is
knew it was an
31.
Alpine. but
31.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's exactly why.
Are they?
you wager
Is
0
is
and
mine a
play
current
defense.
driver? Is mine a current driver?
It's gotta be.
No,
on
it's
the-
actually different. It's not. It's not really.
How much did you wager?
4.
Oh,
Darnell
big
wagers
time on a
4
Saturday
points.
morning.
I mean, it might be a bit confusing for the listeners because they couldn't see, but Darnell wagers 4, and his question is:
Oh fuck.
what is the only double-digit number the drivers can't use?
Okay, here we go.
There is a
Giovinazzi-
retired number in Formula One. What is it?
Giovinazzi's night was 99. Piastri's 88. Or is he 81? He might be 81. Lewis is 44. Max is 33.
Why are you?
Check.
going
I'm going through it so I know what one it isn't.
Okay.
Reich, Perez is 11. I don't know if we've seen a 22.
He's digging deep. ladies and
Carlos is
gentlemen.
55. Have we seen a 66?
Well, there's 100 numbers to go through here, Darnell.
Yeah,
Is it double?
exactly.
Oh, I thought you meant like, oh,
There's
I
only
thought-
one retired number. That's why I was like, why are you going
I
through
thought
every
you meant they
active
were the
driver?
same
You have a
number.
1 in 80 shot?
No.
I thought he meant like 77, 88, 99. That's why I was going through them like that.
Oh, I
Oh,
was like, this guy. Like,
oh God. I had
Trying to
okay,
reverse
We're going to
rate
be here all
man
day,
this.
Darnell, going through all
He
100
gets a
numbers.
current number and I get a retired number. I actually
There's
don't know.
only one retired number.
Okay.
there's only one. It's the Wayne Gretzky. You know this.
It's
Come on.
actually not it's not for a driver who was like an all-time great. It's
See, Kyle, I have no idea. So it wasn't Senna then.
no.
0.
If you really have no idea, I
It's
will
0.
say that it is for a driver who died.
Is it Jules Bianchi?
It is. What was his number?
Fuck. I 3.
Is 17.
17.
That was a tough one. I
got the
sorry,
person
but-
at least. I had
Yeah,
no
you
idea.
did get the person. Yeah, so that is a
7-2.
win for Kyle. Congratulations. It was a tough one. Would you have gone Esteban Ocon if I flipped the questions?
If it gave me some time to think about it, I probably would have gotten it.
Tough one. Well, I hope that was
I think
fun.
I
I hope
can
the
name- I think I
listeners
can name all
played
the
along.
tournaments.
I've always kind of wanted to try a little trivia game, so it was great to have the two of you guys on today and give that a go. I think the chat was great.
Well, can I actually flip the script on you, Brad?
You have questions for me?
I just got one trivia question. It's a little teaser that Darnell and I are going to do on the next episode of King of the Take.
Okay.
So just it's either this or that. Super simple, okay? What total is higher? The number of tires used in an F1 season or LeBron James' career point total?
So, okay. It's kind of like that wheels versus doors argument that was like viral a while ago.
Almost.
In one season?
In one season.
I don't think there's 40,000 tires used in the season.
No, I'm gonna go with LeBron as well.
I think it's LeBron's points.
40,000 tires are used on average every season, F1 season, because you got to talk practice, everything.
That's
And I guess, does that
insane.
count like actual tires that hit the track or tires that come to
1,800 tires per race for 40,000 per season.
That's wild.
Okay,
Dude.
so but yeah, does that count the tires that actually hit the track? Because like extreme wets come to every single race. This has been like a bit of a talking point.
These are
and then they don't
tires
get
used. Tires used.
used
Tires
on track. Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
then I'm
we're-
wrong.
like
yeah.
wind, like it could. I assume it counts wind tunnel, everything. But yeah,
They're trying to be carbon neutral. They're using 40,000.
I thought that stat was insane.
like
I was like, I
20
need a big number. So I was like, LeBron James career points, sure.
Yeah, that's
That's
perfect.
insanity.
Anyways,
Yeah,
if you like some more trivia, tune into King of the Take this week. We're gonna do another trivia session as well.
For sure. Yeah, and that's what I was going to end off with. Just if you have any final thoughts, and of course, plug the podcast, boys.
Final
You go for
thoughts.
it.
I love coming on this podcast. Brad,
this is the best.
you have a great product here. Easily the best Canadian Formula One podcast. One of the best, I think, Formula One podcasts out there. Thank you for having us on. This is always
Brad,
incredible.
absolute pleasure. I'm glad I could join this episode, and like I know how difficult this grind is, and to do it a solo F1 podcast and be as good as you are, and continue to be. Hats off to you, my guy.
Thanks,
funny.
boys.
There's 3 of us, like me, you, and Trevor, and just Brad produces a better. Our podcasts are all over the place. Brad's is dialed. It's dialed.
I appreciate that, boys. But you guys have a good product too. I wouldn't be selling yourself short.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Much appreciated. Thanks for
Right.
having us.
Well,
bud.
we'll have to catch up another time, but that'll do it for this one. So thanks, boys. Take care.
Thank you very much. All right. Have a good one.
Well, of course, it was a great chat. But before I wrap up, just a shout out to the King of the Take podcast for another great collab, and especially for the kind words at the end there. I guess they're too humble to plug their own podcast, so I guess I will do it for them because they really do have an entertaining, all sports podcast with good chemistry between those guys and really clever segments as well. It is a great listen. So check them out on Spotify, Discord, TikTok, and Instagram. Their link tree can also be found in the description of this episode. So that will do it for episode 66 of Brake Bias. I'm your host, Brad Kramer, and I will be back next Monday already for the preview of the Dutch Grand Prix. Max Verstappen will have the opportunity to match Sebastian Vettel's consecutive race wins record at his home race. Will he do it? Tune in next week to find out what I think. Goodbye.